All right, now we're doing 7Q International Morse Code Encryption. This is by Jack Carlisle, and 91% of people like it. So we're going to write a function that will encrypt a given sentence into International Morse code. Both the input and outputs will be strings. Characters should be separated by a single space. Words should be separated by a triple space. For example, hello world, this string should return this Morse code right here. All right, so to find out more about Morse code, we can follow this link. And a preloaded object called char to Morse will be provided to help convert characters to Morse code. All right, so basically, first thing we got to do is see what this thing looks like. And we might as well see what this thing looks like while we're at it. So we'll come over here and we'll say something like console.log message, and then we'll also do console.log, and we'll say char to Morse right here. Put it right there. So let's test that out, see what it looks like. So the argument looks like this, so it's just like this, so we can assume they're all going to be like this. And then right here, pardon me. Right here, this is the char to Morse object. It's going to have like the numbers or the letters as the keys, and then for the values, Morse code inside of quotes like that, just to make a string, right? So basically, first thing we got to do is iterate through this thing so that we can replace each one of these letters with the key, with the value from the key, okay? So let's start off by saying let for let I equals 0. And while I is less than message.length, we'll say I++. All right. So what we're going to need to do is make a result variable so that we can put these inside of it and not have to mess with the, not have to change the message, the argument. So we'll just say let result equal an empty string. And then right here, we'll say something like result plus equals. And then we'll say this thing right here, the char to Morse object at, and we'll do it at message at the current character, right? So let's test that out, see what that looks like. Up. First, let's say console.log result, right? Now let's test it out. And so we've got this, we got an undefined right here, and I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be this space. So we got to do something to make sure these spaces get through. All right, so let's do something like this. Let's say in front of this thing, let's say if message at I equals a space, we'll just say result plus equals a space, all right? And then we'll say else we'll do, hold on, else we'll do this right here. All right, and let's test that out, see what it looks like. All right, so we took care of that undefined problem right here, but now you see there's no spaces after each letter, after each Morse code letter. So what we're going to have to do is probably something like this. We'll come over here to the result plus char to Morse thing, and then we'll say plus a space like that. So let's test that out, see what this looks like. All right, so now we've got a space in between each letter, and then that also adds a space to this space right here. All right, so, and actually we should add another one since this is supposed to be a triple space. All right, so let's put another space inside of the result. Okay, so if message at I equals space, we're going to say result plus equals double space like that, all right? And so that should take care of that situation. Now let's see one more time. Test it out. All right, all right. And so that looks good. That looks like every one of these little codes, I guess. That's what we'll say. So let's say return result. Let's test that out. All right, what's the problem here? What's the problem here? We expected this to equal this. Well, this still has a space at the end, while this does not, okay? So we're gonna have to do another if statement to say if it's the last character in the message, just do it without the space. So we'll say over here, in front of this we'll say else if, like this, and then we'll have these right here, and we'll just set up the, what is it called? What is this thing called? The format or whatever, the structure of it right there. So we're going to do else if, and then here we'll say if I equals message.length -1. We'll do this right here, but only up to the second bracket closure, the second closing bracket, like that. All right. So now we've got something like this. If it's the last one, don't add a space, but for all the rest of them, add a space. All right. So let's check that out. And there it goes. It works. Awesome. And attempt it. And awesome. Great, great, great. But you know what? That's a lot of saying result, you know, that's a lot of char to Morse action, that's a lot of message at I action and message at link. There's a lot of repetition, pardon me, going on right here. We could make this a lot more concise, all right? So let's come up here, let's say /* control N, we'll do * / like that, control home, enter like that, and say const encryption equals, instead of message for the argument, we'll just put M, right? And then we'll have the arrow right here, and now we've got arrow function syntax. We'll say console.log so we can test while we go. And we'll say, what does M look like to start with? Test it out. Hello world, just like we expect, all right? So what are we going to do with this? We could take this string and replace every single one of these with one of these using a function that accesses the object based on each one of these characters. And that's what we're going to do first, right? So we'll say m.replace because we're replacing everything, and that's also the name of this method. So if you're unfamiliar with replace or you need a refresher, the replace method returns a new string with one, some, or all matches of a pattern replaced by a replacement. The pattern can be a string or regex, and the replacement can be a string or function called for each match. So we're going to be using the regex for the pattern, and we're going to be using the function for the replacement. And then if the pattern is a string, well, this doesn't have anything to do with us since we're using regex, and the original string is left unchanged. So basically down here, we're going to do that string we have, dot replace, we'll have the pattern, which is going to be a regex, and then the replacement, which will be a function. So for the regex we're going to come over here to the character classes page, and we're going to come down here to this little period, and it matches any single character except line terminators. Well, we don't have to worry about line terminators, so we'll just say right here, dot. But the thing is, it's only going to look for the first character because that's just how replace does business, and that's how regex does business too. So to make it look for every character, we're going to use this global search flag. Let's come all the way down here to these advanced searching with flags. We've got the global search flag right here, this G. We'll put a G after this second slash, and that should take care of business right there. Let's just see if it does by testing it out. All right, and so now we've got a string with a bunch of undefineds in it, and that's good for now because now each one of these undefineds is one of these, what are these things called? One of these characters. So now for the function, we're going to say character, we're going to say C, like we use M up here, we're going to say C as the argument, and then we're going to do an arrow right there, and we're going to say something like this. We're going to say char to Morse at something, so we'll say char to Morse. And instead of, hold on a second, char to Morse right here, And instead of accessing it with message I, we're just going to access it with C, which will be the current character going while we go through the string, right? So we'll say chart of Morse C like that. And let's see what this looks like to start off with. All right, so now we've got just like we had the other time where it's undefined where the space is. So on this one, instead of doing this thing where the if message equals this and blah, 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 what we're going to do here is we're going to say do this, return either C or, excuse me, you know, C at Morse or whatever, Morse at C, whatever, okay. Or we'll use the or operator, or just return C, which would be the space in this case. So let's look at the undefined here, let's test it. And now we've got a space right there. So we took care of that business, but we still need the spaces inside of each one of these. So for that, let's do what we did here with this plus, and let's get this, wrap this thing up in parentheses, and let's add a space, a single space each time. Now let's test it out. All right, now we got the spaces going on, but I mean, as you could probably imagine, we also have this at the end of it. So to correct this situation, we're going to use the split. Oh, I didn't put it up there. Split, no, we need slice JavaScript. We're going to use this slice method, which returns a shallow copy of a portion of an array into a new array object selected from start to end. End is not included, but I mean, we're going to be using string.prototype.slice, but it works the exact same way. And end is not included, where start and end represent the index of items in that array. So basically what we're going to do is something like this one here, but instead of 2 to -1, which would go 0, 1, 2, we're going to say 0 to -1, right? So it should go ant, bison, camel, duck, and get rid of elephant, right? Let's see if that works. This is the second to last one. All right, so the second to last one is ant, bison, camel, duck, without elephant there, right? And so that's basically how it works. If we just have the 0, let's run it, it would have elephant there too. So the comma -1 takes out the last one, or if it was -2, it would take out the last 2. So here we go, we're going to come up here and say dot slice, because we're getting rid of this space right here, dot slice 0 to -1, all right? And now let's test it out. All right, and now we don't have a space there, and so let's get this, bring it up here outside of the console.log, test it out. And there it goes, and let's attempt it. And there we go, no tricks involved, right? It's a good answer. But you know what, we can do just a little bit better. We can do a little bit better on the conciseness of this, all right? Let's get in back into this console.log, test it out one more time. Yeah, we're still good. We still got the string. All right, so instead of this replace method, what we're going to do is we're going to use this map method. And the map method creates a new array populated with the results of calling a provided function on every element in the calling array. Now, the thing about map is there's no string.prototype.map for whatever reason. So we're going to need to turn this string into an array. So let's see what we can do first. Let's just put it in an array, see what we got going on here. All right, so now we've got hello world as one string, as one element in this array, okay? But we want to break it down to where every character is in its own element, okay? So to do that, we're going to use this good old spread syntax. And the spread syntax allows an iterable such as an array or string to be expanded in places where 0 or more arguments for function calls or elements for array literals, that's what we're making, are expected, all right? So to make this array literal, we're just going to say dot, dot, dot. Test that out and check that out. Awesome. So now we can use the map method. So we'll say dot map like this. And the map method, let's go back one more time. It creates a new array populated with the results of calling a provided function on every element in the calling array. So in this one, the function is x times 2. So every element will be multiplied by 2. So 1, 4, 9, and 16 will turn into 2, 8, 18, and 32. And let's run it, and it does just that. So for this one, what we want to do is this function right here, basically. So let's bring this one up there. And let's just throw this into map. Let's change the C to E since it's elements. Just because, you know, this is a training video, so might as well do it the proper way. Let's see what happens. All right, so now we've got this going on. Every one is in its own thing. All right, let's get rid of these extra parentheses. And so now we've got this. So we just need to join these together by a space, right? So that we can get this string right here. So if we use this join method, it creates and returns a new string by concatenating all the elements in an array or array-like object separated by commas or a specified separator string. We come down here, here's the specified separator string. It's an empty string, so it's butting them all next to each other. Makes it look just like this, but if we put a space in there, space, run it, you see it's fire space, airspace, water. So what we'll do here is say dot join, and then we'll have space like that. And let's see what this looks like. That looks like what we're looking for, doesn't it? All right, so let's take this out. Let's take the console.log out of here and see if this works for real. Test it out, just like that. Attempt it, and there we go, and submit it. All right, so you see right here, they're using the spread syntax to make the array literal. They're using the map method, did the same thing we did, and then joined it together just like we did. They're using the split here instead of the making the array literal. And then they're doing another split on it, and then they're doing another they're doing a map on the first split, then doing another map, and then changing these, and then joining it all together twice in that manner. I mean, I guess it works. I mean, obviously it works if it's on this page. Here's another one, split with map and join, and you can just check out the rest if you feel like it. Let's go over to mine. Just me on this one, best practice in my opinion, very much like it, and we'll see you next time.